Wee! You motherfuckers are in trouble. Listen, what did I say? Nobody's going to stand pat and just take it out here, right? Pause. Nobody's doing that out here in the Delaware Valley, the Philadelphia metropolitan area. It doesn't happen that way, baby. We're going out with a swing at the very least, right? 2-3 swings. My man Howie Roseman, this is how we do. Now listen, you had people panicking and shit, right? So annoying. I ain't gonna lie. This type of or this time of year right here is some of my least favorite, right? At least as far as dealing with the fans. We had some dude up in here crying like, oh, he's not addressing the defense and all this. Because, right, the first thing that come across the wire was about Saquon Barkley. And I was like, bro, relax. Free agency is just starting. Why you think it's done? We haven't gotten through multiple days of free agency. We haven't gotten to the draft or anything, right? So now that we've gotten through multiple days of free agency, right, and they go out and get Bryce Huff, Saquon Barkley, and then they bring that boy back, what are we doing right here? Eagles signing CJ Gardner-Johnson to a 3-year, $33 million deal. Now, I don't have the particulars here. I would love to know the guaranteed money to see what's going on, right? It could be 1 year with a couple of dummy years added on to it just to appease the cap. It could be anything like that, but I don't care. CJ Gardner-Johnson back, and your boy did that video a couple of days ago about CJ being my 1B, right, to a Xavier McKinney. If they couldn't get a Xavier McKinney, I thought the best bet would be CJ Gardner-Johnson. Him on a 1-year deal, though, because I know we have Sidney Brown, and of course we have Reed Blankenship, 2 young guys right there. So I'm not sure what that means if it isn't a legit 3-year, $33 million deal, if meaning most of it is guaranteed, so he'll be guaranteed multiple years. What does that do for either one of those guys, right? You can't play everybody at safety. Vic Fangio plays a little bit more base, too, than the average person. So even if you're talking about bringing in a nickel, would you play one of those guys at nickel? Obviously, the only person between those 3 would be CJ. But then again, you have Isaiah Rodgers at the nickel spot. You have some guys you need to get in the draft, right? And now it's going to be looking like rich people problems, in my opinion, there. Because CJ Gardner-Johnson, we know, can absolutely play. Guy's a straight-up ball hawk. He has range. He can do a lot of the same stuff that I believe a guy like Reed Blankenship can do and showed that he could do last year, despite what people want to say. But we'll get to that another time there. And Sidney Brown, of course, being injured right now. So somebody come in as a bridge to Sidney Brown, or did they not see enough from Sidney Brown for him to warrant being a potential starter? I don't know what the injury entails as far as the rehab, as far as will he'll come back, right? I don't play God on TV, baby. I don't do that. But if he is back, what does that do? You need depth, no doubt about that. Do you roll with Reed? Do you roll with Sidney Brown? What is it, right? Is Reed Blankenship better as a closed side safety opposed to being a free safety? Is CJ Gardner-Johnson one of these guys you'd rather have down in the box? A lot of different things you can do right there. All I know is you're bringing in more talented players. Bryce Huff, extremely talented. Suppose somehow we are able to keep Hassan Reddick and he pairs up with Bryce Huff. Shit is nasty, right? You bring in a guy like Zach Bond, right? I know many people don't know about him, and yeah, of course, people wanting to be haters and shit like that. I don't care about that. I'm doing my own analysis here. It's probably some, or not probably. I know about Zach Bond when probably 99% of the people out there probably never even heard of the dude, right? He's very talented, and he showed that at Wisconsin. He just went to a team that pretty much loaded across the board, especially you talk about a guy who's versatile like that plays multiple positions. They're loaded at both positions. One man's trash is another man's treasure, like I said before. We've seen guys like Jason Babin, where people really didn't know what to do with. He comes to the Eagles, right, getting 18 sacks or something like that, right? It's happened before, so I can't believe it, man. CJ Gardner-Johnson back just 1 year later, and you have people up there talking about, oh, he burned his bridges and all this and that. Listen, take it from somebody who's actually been in the business before, right? Not in the business before, still in the business right now, but, you know what I'm saying, various contacts out the business throughout college and pro. When it's a business, there's no such thing, man. People are trying to win. People are trying to get paid. If that's one of your avenues of getting paid, happens to be a place where you had some bad feelings towards, it is what it is, man. Those fences can be mended, right? So, as we see right here, all good. CJ Gardner back. What do you guys think about that, right? Huh? Looks like it was kind of premature to throw dirt, right? People, you want to throw dirt on the Philadelphia Eagles, this is what you're going to have to do, right? Won't you pour out a little liquor for everybody on that schedule next year? Good luck trying to stop that offense with Saquon Barkley. And another thing that people not thinking about with that is the pass protection, right? It'll take a step up, right? Kenneth Gainwell, pretty decent pass protector there. Saquon Barkley, pretty good at it, right? Allowed that, right? I saw they signed Devontae Parker too, so you're bringing in another big receiver, right? Probably on his last year. I know he's in his 30s now, but Devontae Parker, pretty good 4th, 5th receiver there. Come on, man. They're just stacking the deck, right? And we have not hit the draft yet. I can still get my wish, right, of having my boy Max Melton and CJ Gardner-Johnson on the same team, right? Listen, people gonna be hating and it's all good, baby. Howie has us, right? Howie's in a hurry or whatever that shit. What was that pizza place back in the day, right? Howie something. Anyway, listen, that man serving it up on a platter for people. It's just gonna get even better and better. I saw Hennessy got signed as well there, so you never know how that goes, right, as far as the interior line goes. Maybe he slots in at the right guard slot. You're just getting more bodies in there, some veteran players there, just in case my man Steen is not working out there. You have some bodies there, so you're going to have to see us, man. That's just what the deal is, baby. You're going to have to see the Philadelphia Eagles. But listen, I'm going to go ahead and reattach that CJ Gardner-Johnson quick study that I did right there just to wake them back up, man. So wake that ass up early in the morning, baby. CJ Gardner-Johnson back in the building. My man Chauncey back home, all right? Let's get it, baby. South Jersey, stand up.
Top Billin, Uptown Murph.
Top Billin,
When I first thought about it, I was staunchly against the return of your man Chauncey Gardner. But the more and more I think about it, I think it's actually perfect. I think Chauncey Gardner's return sets a lot of stuff up, and it can be of a 1-year rental again, at least on a prove-it deal. Something about Chauncey, man, you have to admit. He didn't play that many games in Detroit, man, but as you can see here, in a couple of games that he did play, he was able to get himself a couple of interceptions just for the fact that, man, he's just a ball magnet. I don't know what it is, as you can see right here. Working off the first level there, it's pretty much at a 5 technique, right? Drop him in the depth there. Ball bounces off the hands of Mike Evans, and look who's right there, Chauncey. Yeah, man, CJ Gardner right there. And, of course, showing his skills from back in the day, man, when he's in high school playing a little offense. But moreover, man, when I first knew about him and was at a camp with him, he was a cornerback. I mean, off sheer versatility alone, Chauncey Gardner makes sense. In that Fangio scheme, remember, there will be a lot of duality at the safety position, but you will have a little bit of a delineation between the two. We can kind of see it right here when they break the huddle. You see the safeties communicating with each other right there. You get one safety right now. He's to the closed portion of the formation right here, and this looks like damn near 13 personnel, or at least, yeah, it looks like 13 personnel right here. So he's at the strength of the formation for real. So he would have to anchor down, but look at this. Communicate that right there. He drops back at depth, then the strength of the formation kind of changes, and you get the other safety right here pressing down, right? So obviously he will have to anchor the run there, but as you can see, a little bit of duality at the safety position, but still a clear delineation. While we know CJ to be a ready, willing, and able tackler, let's be real here. When he was here, that man's tackling technique sometimes left a lot to be desired, as he would bounce off a ton of tackles. But he's undeniably a playmaker. Look at him close off the middle of the field right here. Shoot it out in Yaka. What are we doing here? that man Chauncey Gardner would definitely add some juice to that secondary, or re-add some juice to the secondary. I love his ability to show off that range at times, and other times appear that he's just creating his own luck, like we see right here with a tip pass from JB. Your man gets up for the downstroke right there. I say all that to say this. I like Chauncey Gardner because he allows my man Reed Blankenship to play closer to the line of scrimmage, where I think he's even more impactful. We know Reed Blankenship can do a lot of the deep work as well, but having him around the ball, having him sniff out the run, I think he's better than that of Chauncey Gardner, and I think he can do a lot of the same stuff underneath. Now, do I know if this will happen? I don't. I never pretend to know what an NFL team will do, even if I'm a fan of it. I mean, I'm practical in my professionalism because you cannot definitively speak on something that you don't control. I would love for it to happen, but if you think about it in a practical manner, Reed Blankenship and CJ Gardner played the same exact position. Reed Blankenship was able to get time as a rookie because Chauncey Gardner was injured. So they obviously didn't give him the type of money that they wanted. It could have been because of his injury history. The only thing that he did after leaving the Philadelphia Eagles was go and get injured even worse. Your man only played a few games for Detroit. And if we look at it right here, you have Chauncey Gardner in his time with the Eagles, right? So he was able to play 12 games, and he had Reed Blankenship working there, obviously in certain situations. So I'm comparing Chauncey Gardner's 22 season to Reed Blankenship's 23 season right here. So 15 games from Reed. He too was injured a lot, but he had 79 solo tackles produced. Chauncey had 61. Look at this. Chauncey only with 6 assisted tackles. That's crazy to me. And Reed Blankenship with 34. So 113 tackles from Reed Blankenship, who I said before, he seems like the better guy in run support. Now, he too has to work on making sure that his tackle percentage goes up because he's bounced off a few tackles as well. But, man, his ability to diagnose, he will stick his face in the fire, no doubt about that. Chauncey will too, but his technique to me is lacking, and I just think he's better in range or in space, right? Especially if you're going to close off the middle of the field. I think he's a little bit better than Reed Blankenship in that. So not to say that Reed Blankenship is not good at it. I think that CJ's just a little bit better at it. And not to say that Chauncey's not good in run support. I just think that Reed Blankenship is better than him at that as well. So he had a couple of QB hits there or whatever. 11 passes defense from Reed Blankenship, 8 for Chauncey there. So you got to think about that. Now, look at this. In pass coverage, Chauncey Gardner was giving up 73% completion percentage there. 63% for Reed Blankenship. But look at the rating, all right? 78.4 for Chauncey, a former cornerback, almost 100 rating for Reed Blankenship. Definitely got to get him up out of man coverage sometimes. And like I said before, Chauncey's just better at it. That was his thing, right? Coming out of high school in the early part at Florida, in his career at Florida as well. So having a guy like Chauncey, would he be my number one pick? Nope. Still working with my man X, right? My boy Xavier McKinney. Xavier McKinney is one of these dudes who can flip everything. I just think the world of this guy, he would be the dude. However, Chauncey coming off another injured year, maybe he takes a 1-year deal, a 1-year prove-it deal, which would coincide with what? Reality. The reality of the situation is they drafted Sidney Brown. He's going to play. If you draft or if you go out and sign a guy like Xavier McKinney, who will require a pretty big contract, what does that do for someone like Sidney Brown? They're going to want this guy to play. They just drafted him. It's not like anybody left that drafted him, right? So it's still Howie Roseman's guy. They drafted him in the 3rd round. Same thing with Reed Blankenship. They clearly putting a lot of time and effort into Reed Blankenship. Those seem to be the safeties of the future. Not saying that someone else can't come in, but somebody like Chauncey would make more sense if he would take a 1-year deal.
Top Billin, Uptown Murph.
Top Billin.